What's going on, gangsters? In this tutorial we're going to learn about how to create an ugly table just like this one. We're going to learn a little bit about stylizing table headers, table data, and creating a table itself. Whoa, what is this? Attractiveness 5.6. Even though you guys haven't done that yet, in the tutorial we did that wrong, so I'm going to change that real quick and then we'll get to it. So her foot's stuck in the toilet. There's cake on the floor. The cat's running across the house. Oh, hello guys. What's up, guys? We're going to learn about tables in this tutorial. It's going to be great. You've already learned quite a bit about the HTML, and it's awesome. So we've almost learned pretty much everything you're going to need to know for a website. Obviously there's a lot of small minute details we'll learn about throughout the series, but after that we're going to jump into some CSS and we're almost done with the HTML. So right now our website's looking pretty good, but we also want something called tables. Tables are going to help us organize data or display, whether you're creating like an invoicing system, different rows of products that you can buy or sell. For the website we're eventually going to build, this might be a list of all of our tutorials, whether you've completed that tutorial or not, since we're eventually going to create a website for learning software and having a user log in and track their progress, all that stuff. But as for now, we're just going to learn about the table. And if you guessed what the tag is, you're a genius. It's table. So to start a table, all you need to do is define table, and then you have a table. But what does a table have? It has different rows, has different columns, and so we're going to add a table row. That's just TR, and you can have one table row. So we could just say like Travis here, and let's copy this, create another row within our table. Did it again. So maybe our second row we're going to have it be Sophia Vergara, that hot chick. So obviously you can tell by now this is a table of just very attractive people in the world. So go ahead and throw your name in there as well at the bottom, because obviously you're probably looking pretty sexy and you probably deserve to be in this table. But let's go to our website, see how it looks. We're just going to hit Control-Shift-R and make sure you save it within NetBeans for it to actually reload on our page. And as you can see here, here's our table. Right now you're like, what? I thought we created two different table rows, which I thought we did too, but apparently we didn't. So let's go check our code out, see what's going on. Well, this isn't the proper way to define data within each row. We actually need to create another tag to store data within that row itself. So we're just going to create a quick TD for table data, and that's where we're supposed to save our information. So now if we copy this and paste it within here, and also create another TD tag down here, and we save our project, reload our page. It should work this time. So now we have two different rows. You can't really tell that this is a table. You're like, what's so different about this opposed to what we have up here? And we're going to learn a lot more about that when we actually get into the CSS, because we could have this table have striped rows, different colors, make it look real nice. But as for now, you're like, what is this? So now what we want to do is create different columns, or more table data within one row. So then we can explain what this data actually means for this individual over here. So if we jump back over to NetBeans, I'm going to clean this up a bit. Again, we want to keep within that structure where we tab in within each element so we can view the code and see it nice and easily. I'm just going to cut that, paste it, get some more table data in here. We could say my last name, Cornelius, and we'll just say like a 6.5, and I'm dyslexic. Again, let's do something similar here. Copy this, and we're going to say 10. We should also probably delete these rows, or this empty white space here. And there we go. We have something that's meaningful, almost. We also want to define what these columns are generally within a table. So let's create a first name header, last name header, and also something here as well. So go back and we're just going to copy the structure and paste it, and here we're going to say first name, last name, and attractiveness. So we can save this, go back to our table, reload our page. It looks better. You actually can kind of see what's going on. But this first row, we want it to stand out a little bit more, saying that this is actually what's defining within each row below. So let's go back to NetBeans. And instead of it being table data, which it still is, we're going to change it to table header, TH. So that will give it a little bit of a bold style. Again, this will help when Google robots are going through your site. They'll be able to read that much more easily, saying, hey, this is what this table is all about. This is the header. This is probably the information that's listed below within each header. It gives that nice little style to stick out from any other table row. So that's pretty much the basics of a table. There's not a whole lot more to tables until we get into the CSS and start styling these tables up, make them look nice. But that's the basic structure of a table. One other thing that we could do is give this whole table a caption. So right above the table, it'll actually define even more what our table is about. Before our first table row, we're just going to create something called, well, it's caption. A person's attractiveness. So we can save that, go back to our table, and reload it. That looks pretty good. And I just want to show you guys a little bit of styling. So we're going to go back to NetBeans and just adjust our whole table here. We're going to give it some definition. So we're going to say style attribute, and within here we're going to say a border. Let's give it 5 pixels, and we're going to say also we want it to be a solid border, and we want it to be the color black. And then you do a semicolon each time you define a new style. Again, we're going to put this all within a different CSS file by itself, so we don't want to do a whole lot of inline styling because it's way easier to adjust just one file instead of looking through all your code and adjusting each table that has this style. But as for now, again, it's just for example. So we're also going to say we want this to have a width colon 100%, which will take up the whole width of what is available to it. Again, we'll get more into this when we do the CSS, but as for now, it's a good little example. So save that, let's refresh our page, and as you can see now, it's a little bit different. You can't really, again, see the rows and the columns necessarily with the CSS that we added. So let's actually just jump into that, and you guys can see a little bit about CSS in this tutorial as well. Now's a pretty good time to introduce it since we're going to start learning about CSS pretty quickly here. So instead of defining it here, like I said, we'd have to do that for each element. We actually want to define it within our header. And again, this is where we'll import that CSS file when we start creating CSS on a different file somewhere else on our server. But as for now, we're just going to define it up here. So we're going to create a style tag. And this is going to be the style for this sheet. The first thing that we want to do is, well, we want to define anything that's a table. We want it to have a border of 5 pixels, solid black, like midnight, and we also want it to have a width of 100. So now any table that we create within this page, it's going to have this default stylizing that we added to this table down here. It'll look exactly the same that we had previously, but we also want to have each of these elements have a border as well, so we can kind of see them stand out. So any table header or table data, we also want to have a border as well. So let's add some stylizing to our table headers and also our table data so we can actually see that stand out. We can do that by just adding a table header and defining a property, but since we're defining two things that are exactly the same, we can do a comma and TD as well. So table headers and table data will have this stylizing, and we're just going to give it a border of 1 pixel or 2 pixels, solid black or green. Let's mix it up, be a little crazy, and that's pretty much and again, don't forget your colon there. Let's check out our table with our new stylizing that we added to our page. Again, we don't want to have a whole lot of stylizing on this page. Eventually we're going to rip out all of our styles into a different file itself and start defining it there. But as you can see, it looks a little bit different now. You can kind of see what's going on. So it looks a little bit better. It's still pretty ugly. I I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty ugly, but as you can see, that's how you add stylizing to the page. Again, we didn't want to have to type out within each table data attribute or tag that we set up a style attribute. It's much easier to define all table data having a certain property or a certain style, and that's exactly what we did here. So we only had to type out the styling in one place, and it affected a whole bunch of different elements. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, I know it's kind of boring just learning the fundamentals, but once we actually start creating something, it's going to be a really good time. And I hope you guys enjoy these tutorials. I really do. If there's any way I can improve, please just leave a comment, and I'll start making these tutorials tailored to your needs. And I hope you enjoy them. Hope you're learning something. And guys, stick with it, please, because it's going to be phenomenal, the skills that you have at the end of this course. Again, thanks for watching. Share, like, throw this on your Facebook or something, and we'll catch you guys later.